The Battle of Fredericksburg was from December 11th to 15th, 1862. It was the first major opposed river crossing in U.S. military history, and it was the first Civil War urban combat battle. With over 200,000 combatants, it was the largest concentration of soldiers in the Civil War. These are the main generals of the Battle of Fredericksburg.
The preparation for the Battle of Fredericksburg was a bit of a fluke. The plan for General Ambrose Burnside, the general of the Army of the Potomac for the Union, was to cross the Rappahannock River, circumnavigate Lee's army, and attack the Confederates' capital at Richmond.
But the Union ran into some trouble. Their pontoon boats for crossing the river were delayed, and a snowstorm ensued afterwards. This stopped Union movement for a week, and in this time, Lee anticipated Burnside's plan. He ordered Longstreet and Stonewall Jackson to form a line along the river just outside of Fredericksburg. There they would prohibit the Union movement and attack them when the time came.
In the morning of December 11th, Union soldiers began to cross the river. However, Confederate General William Barksdale took positions in Fredericksburg, sharpshooters demolishing the attempt at the Confederate crossing. In response, Burnside bombed the town of Fredericksburg, sending artillery shell after artillery shell into the nearby town. After the bombing, Union soldiers were able to gain a foothold in the town, finally crossing the river. A bloody battle on the streets then ensued, and Barksdale's men were forced to retreat. Union soldiers then proceeded to loot what was left of the town. Although the Union had gained a foothold in the town, Barksdale and his men had gained another 12 hours for Lee and the Confederates to stock up on forces.
Lee's Confederates were in a 7-mile-long curving line, with the 5 divisions of Longstreet's corps along Marye's Heights and heights south of Fredericksburg to Prospect Hill were controlled by Stonewall Jackson. Burnside decided to attack both flanks rather than take on the bulk of Lee's army in the center. The main attack was made by General William B. Franklin against Stonewall Jackson, while General Edwin Sumner would distract Longstreet on Marye's Heights. Burnside made a mistake by waiting until the morning of December 13th to tell Franklin and Sumner their orders, rather than tell them after their meeting on December 12th. His orders were not clear, and Franklin was unsure about how hard he should attack south of the city. On the morning of December 13th, Franklin attacked the south of Fredericksburg along the railroad. Major John Pelham was able to hold back Union lines by using a single cannon he had moved into position on Prospect Hill. He delayed the Union for about an hour and was able to reveal the Union's battle plan to General Lee.
After a quick line readjustment by Reynolds, he had Confederates at Prospect Hill shelled with artillery. Jackson, who held his fire until the Union advanced, was merely affected by the bombing. After the Union advance, Jackson responded by pushing them back. After the advance by the Confederates, Reynolds began firing artillery and advancing up the hill, only to find a hole in the line left of Jackson. Union General George Meade then passed along the Confederate lines, but was counterattacked by Jackson as he was calling for reinforcements from David Birney that would never come. After Birney left Meade unsupported, Meade retreated with Confederates hot on their tail. Fighting then began in the area that would soon be named Slaughter Pens, the Union suffering position and men. By late afternoon, with Jackson pushing for another attack with an updated line, Meade refused and let the battle south of Fredericksburg come to an end, ultimately forfeiting.
At the same time as Prospect Hill, Longstreet and his troops were trenched in at Marye's Heights. Sumner and his men had to pass through a mill race, which is a trench 5 feet deep, 15 feet wide, and filled with 3 feet of water. And on top of the mill race, a 1/2 mile of open ground. After this open ground, there was a stone wall where Longstreet was waiting for Sumner and his men. Futile Union wave after wave was ordered to attack Longstreet and his men, but each wave was slaughtered by Confederate forces. Burnside wanted to renew his frontal assault the next morning, but his commanders convinced him otherwise because of all the troops that were lost on the battle. On the night of December 15th, Burnside retreated to a winter camp in Stafford County.
After the battle, the Confederates' morals went up, as they were outnumbered and still won. As for the Union, they suffered twice as many casualties. In addition, this was the catalyst to Burnside's resignation, eventually being replaced by Joe Hooker after the Mud March.